Hello there, my name is Erin and we're going to be going through some basics today. The basics of language. A phoneme. In the Encyclopedia Britannica, a phoneme is labeled as the smallest unit of speech, usually confined to vowels and consonants, but some linguists add in that it is the stress, the highs and lows of how you say things, the rhythm or the cadence in which you speak, and the stress that you put on certain sounds. And to kind of understand phonemes as a whole, we're going to be going through how it began as a social contract in communities to create mutual understanding. And then we'll be going through it with Ferdinand de Saussure, a Swiss linguist who thinks about it in more of an abstract way, language as an abstract. And then finally we'll be looking at the phoneme in a larger context, where we go from here, where the derivation continues. And so we're going to start with a specific example of syllables, and we're going to go through the ta, da, and ma, and it is those t, d, and m sounds that let your mother know that you can finish your homework on time. And sort of the assumption within communities is that these phonemes, these sounds, these vocal cues that are compressed together to create language indicate certain things, and it's defined as a social contract because two people have to come to an understanding that this sequence of phonemes means certain things, like their indicator for mammoth means that there's food coming and there's maybe a little bit of danger involved. You should probably grab your spears. And that's sort of how it's understood in a more basic way, is that the beginnings started with, just these vocal indicators that didn't require visual cues, that people could communicate across great distances or with one another in a community. And sort of where we go from here is that we compact these phonemes together, and then we look through semiotics, which is defined as the study of signs and sounds and how they are used. So Ferdinand de Saussure used specific terms that we're going to look at: the sound image, which is the compacted phonemes that come together to create these words, and then the concept, which is like a mental image or a visual image that indicates the sound image. That is what the arrows indicate, that they go together. So as a specific example, we're going to be looking at tree. When I say tree, you're thinking something with bark and leaves or something along those lines. And if you see a tree or you're thinking of a tree, you know there's a word for it. There's these compacted phonemes that mean arbor, that mean tree, that mean willow, things like that. That the word bulldozer means something that bulldozes. Sort of how he began is he just started teaching these lectures, and his students put together this general course in linguistics based on the notes of the class. It was posthumously created, but it's this sort of understanding that no individual can create their own language. It's possible now, but it's not understood. It's not widely recognized. And even like dead languages, we can simulate the cadence and tone of how they were created or how they are spoken aloud. But this social contract between peoples is essential, that we agree that certain sounds create vocal indicators that are associated with visual images. So to continue on to my final point, we're going to think of phonemes in a larger context. So there is this PIT test that was created by the New South Wales Department of Education that surrounds around how kids interpret these phonemes or these syllables, how accurate they are at separating them from one another. They use a really complicated mathematical formula based on gender and age effects, and the conclusion is that kids aren't very good at separating these syllables, these phonemes. And so not only is it harder to teach them these phonemes, but it's harder for them in the long term to be very accurate with how they speak. And mothers have known this for centuries, that it's easier to teach kids like more and please and thank you. They can express themselves through visual cues. The problem being is that you have to be paying attention, or you have to be seeing things, and they can't be communicated across great distances, which is why language ultimately prevails. But my sort of overarching hope is that the derivation of language is understood. As these phonemes are defined, you can understand where we go from here and what certain things mean. You can look into it more. There's like certain syllables like un that indicate certain words and what they're doing or what they could or possibly mean. But I believe that the understanding of phonemes as the beginnings, as a whole, and language as an abstract, and then as a future context, that they are essential. And I absolutely thank you for your time, and I hope you liked it.